health authorities here have confirmed 4 dengue-related deaths, the most recent being that of an elderly male who died on Friday, September 25, 2020. Larissa Pugsley Kidd tells us more in this report.
In a release today, the Ministry of Health said that the number of laboratory-confirmed dengue cases in the state had risen to 432, and the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital has extended their operation to deal with the demand for care. Following extensive investigations, the ministry said it can now confirm that 4 persons have died from severe dengue fever during this outbreak. 1 adult female and 1 9-year-old male were confirmed on laboratory diagnosis to have had dengue fever. A 4-year-old male died before the dengue test could be completed, and an elderly male died last Friday. While the mosquito-borne disease continues to affect all health districts, the Kingstown, Georgetown, and Pembroke health districts are experiencing the most cases, with persons 15 years and younger accounting for the majority of dengue cases. The release stated that Hospital Services Program and the Community Health Services Program continue to provide emergency care to the many persons who present with symptoms of dengue fever. The Accident and Emergency Department of the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital is being supported by the Kingstown District Clinic, which has extended their hours of operation to 7 p.m. All hospitals in the public health system have reported increased occupancy, and the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital has increased the number of beds to accommodate the increased demand for admitted care. This expansion in bed capacity has been sufficient to date so that the Argyle facility has not been used. The ministry said healthcare providers, using a multidisciplinary approach and in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization and the Caribbean Public Health Agency (CARPHA), are constantly updating the care delivered to ensure the best clinical outcomes for all patients with dengue fever. Meanwhile, the Pharmaceutical Services Program, working with consultant physicians, is at present considering the use of papaya leaf tea and/or interferon to determine their use to safely augment care for patients with moderate and severe dengue fever. Additionally, the Vector Control Unit will further ramp up the integrated vector control strategy to reduce the mosquito population through the deployment of district teams focused on source reduction, including fogging and health promotion activities. Part of the IVC strategy will be the continued engagement of communities, churches, and other non-governmental organizations. The Ministry of Health has since recommended that schools encourage students to wear long pants to help fight dengue fever in SVG. As of today, Monday, September 28th, several schools have implemented this new wear. The ministry is reminding that the fight against dengue fever is a shared responsibility. The public is therefore urged to continue to work with the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment to reduce the risk of persons being infected with dengue fever. For SVG-TV News, Larissa Pugsley Kidd.
The National Emergency Management Organization (NEMO) said no landslides nor flooding was reported in the wake of heavy rainfall over the weekend, but this afternoon there were reports of landslide in Belair. SVG was under flood watch yesterday and today, but this has since been discontinued. Director of NEMO Michelle Forbes told SVG-TV News they, however, anticipate that more landslides will be reported following today's rains, and they are monitoring the rainfall as it is possible for flash floods to occur at any time.
In season where we're really entering the wettest part of the year, especially into October and November, which is traditionally wettest month, one of the wettest months of the year, November. And from here on, you will see the spells, the rainy spells going forward. We have to look out for that. Of course, we're going to still have some hot days, but we have to be mindful that we are going to really enter the rainy part of the season. And we'll be prone to flash flooding, we'll be prone to landslides, because as the rain continues and the soils become saturated over a period of time, you can expect these hazards to be more prevalent. But over the weekend, we didn't have any reports.
Forbes said SVG is still in the hurricane season and persons need to be knowledgeable about their surroundings and general environment, noting that in excess of 15 communities are prone to flooding.
have South Rivers, which is basically in the river itself. South Rivers, Lower Connery, we have Sandy Bay, Georgetown, we have across there Basin Hall, we have Kingstown, which is Rose Place area, because we have those communities, Buckermint, also some parts of Vermont. We have Spring Village, along the major rivers, and with the whole issue of climate change, we are seeing, and when we have the extreme rainfall event, you are seeing flooding in areas where you may not have seen before, but there are tributaries or there are water paths in those areas, and that manifested itself, especially in 2013, down in the Chateaubelair area, Fitzhugh's area, where you have the traditional gutters or rivers, but they really overflow their banks. You're seeing that we have some areas that are really prone to landslides that have some concern in Reception Sharps, up on so area called on the rocks. We have some areas that have informal settlements like in Otley Hall, Body Gutter, and those areas that have some concerns that we always have to be asking persons to really monitor and know your situation, know your environment that you're living in, know your surroundings, know what happens within your community, because once it has happened before, most likely it will happen again.
Forbes said based on inspections by NEMO, some persons are not aware of the soil type, which is prone to slippage.
St. Vincent and Grenadines, based on our geology, based on our geography, the way the communities are set up, based on our soil type also, that the areas are prone to flooding, because our soils are pretty young. But I want to encourage persons also not to cut the river banks, not to cut the banks. Keep the trees to hold the soil. We are seeing a lot of areas where we have landslide, where people have basically dug into the land in not the correct way. So it is really, the slope becomes more unstable. And then of course when you have the heavy rainfall and then you put a house on top of it, that load, that pressure on the land really, the land is unstable, and then you can have landslides.
Safety at sea continues to be a top priority for the local Coast Guard service, and Lieutenant Commander Dion Henry said this should also be the case for all fishermen, boat operators and seafarers. Speaking on NBC Radio's face-to-face program this morning, Lieutenant Henry used the opportunity to share some safety tips, which he said, if followed, can save more lives at sea.
We advise fishermen, before you venture to sea, every morning, check the local weather forecast. Wear personal flotation devices. I know we have a culture with our fishermen that do not like to wear flotation devices, but it's very important that you practice wearing flotation devices as mean life jackets. And take one life jacket for every crew member on board. We also advise you to take along water, at least 1 gallon per parcel, and enough food to last for a few days in case of unforeseen events. When at sea, slow down in rough waters or when making turns. Take along a compass, signaling devices such as a flare or a mirror, a watertight torch, spare batteries, and a radar reflector.
Lieutenant Henry also pointed to the dangerous practice by some persons who drink then go bathing or fishing, noting that this should not be encouraged.
Drinking impair your judgment. We know we have a culture where fishermen love to have all drink in the morning or while at sea. We do not encourage drinking and boating. We also encourage you to take along a VHF radio, and in particular a VHF digital selective calling radio. Yes, we encourage the cell phone as an alternative means of communication. The reason why, when you're in distress and you have a cell phone, you can call one person. That person may not be available, or the cell phone may be out of signal or of communication with the tower. So the VHF radio have so many advantages compared to a cell phone. Once you take up a VHF radio and you send a mayday call, any vessel within range of that radio will hear you, and by law is entitled to respond.
The Coast Guard Lieutenant Commander is also encouraging fishermen to always file a float plan before they venture out to sea.
And what is a float plan? Basically, you tell someone before you leave, someone at shore, where you are going to fish, how long you're going to be there for, what time you expected back. So in the event that at 6 o'clock you should be back alongside the fisheries jetty, and the post at shore do not see you by 6, at least by 6 or 7 o'clock, you should inform the Coast Guard of your possible location, because it's exactly where you went to fish. So we can activate search and rescue for you and your crew. We encourage fishermen to take boating safety classes. Once you come as a group, the Coast Guard will assist you with these classes. Normally, we are approached by Fishermen Cooperative and we do conduct boating safety classes with a group of fishermen once you organize as a group. So please guys, invest in your safety by taking boat safety classes.
Lieutenant Henry said during the hurricane season, the Coast Guard usually records an increase in the number of search and rescue operations, and he is urging everyone to be vigilant and follow the advisories issued by the local Met services. In other news, urgent multilateral action is needed globally to address the COVID-19 pandemic and the post-implications faced by countries around the world. This was the call made by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves as he delivered a virtual address to the United Nations General Assembly on Saturday. PM Gonsalves was one of many leaders who spoke on a wide range of issues, including the impacts of COVID-19.
Significant decreases of travel and trade, and the consequent accumulation of debt. Urgent and ambitious action is required to avert a grim post-COVID reality where heightened inequalities and deepened political divides create ruptures in our social fabrics. For small island developing states like St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with our exceptional bundle of challenges, both historical and contemporary, there is an urgent need for our development partners, including international financial institutions, to apply vulnerability indices and update financing eligibility criteria to address debt distress.
The Prime Minister said that COVID-19 has exposed the difficulties faced by countries, especially when it comes to accessing financial support.
Without greater debt relief, concessional financing, and scaled-up development assistance, our countries will fall further behind, unable to provide social protections, attain sustainable development goals, or safeguard the social contracts on which peace and prosperity are built. COVID-19 has exposed the fragilities of a lopsided multilateral system, while the long arm of modern-day imperialism, with its hegemonic, unilateral and interventionist modus operandi, disembowels the bedrock principles of international law and threatens further turmoil and fragmentation.
PM Gonsalves also underscored the need for the United Nations to ensure equality of all persons and that countries which have been sidelined be given the opportunity to represent their people at the highest level.
Let us dare to imagine a new dawn for human civilization, where the rights and freedoms of all nations and peoples are equally protected. Let us craft a United Nations that ensures peace, security and prosperity for all of humanity in all parts of the world. And let no state uses its military, economic, or political power to deny any other its rightful place at the table at the United Nations in equality and dignity.
Hundreds of farmers gathered at different payment centers last Friday, September 25th, to collect payments as part of the government's COVID-19 and drought assistance support. Of the 4,211 farmers who registered to receive assistance, only 2,462 are receiving assistance in this first instance, as the Ministry of Agriculture continues the verification exercise for others. The Minister of Agriculture, Saboto Sisa, on Friday visited 8 different payment centers to view how the payment process was unfolding. The minister congratulated farmers who have so far received assistance and urged those who have not yet received payment to understand the work that the ministry is doing in regularizing the process.
I'm seeing a lot of farmers, livestock farmers, banana, plantain, persons who are into the root crops and vegetables. And I just want farmers who did not receive their payments today to appreciate the very important point that we want to now regularize all the farmers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I have seen where farmers are understanding the process, and the Ministry of Agriculture, the department that deals with the farmers' IDs, will be addressing that during the course of this weekend into next week, and farmers will receive a call.
The Agriculture Minister also congratulates farmers for their hard work and dedication in this period of the pandemic.
Want to congratulate the farmers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for their hard work and dedication during this period of the pandemic. Today we are witnessing thousands of persons going to different payment depots to ensure that they collect $500 as a part of the COVID-19 Drought 2020 Assistance Initiative. There's a list of approximately 4,211 persons who registered approximately a month ago. However, there are a lot of persons who would be regularized over the next 2 weeks.
Parliamentary Representative for Mariaquaw, Sinclair Jimmy Prince, also visited payment centers in his constituency last Friday to ensure that everything was going smoothly. He said that he is very happy to see so many farmers in Mariaquaw receiving assistance.
At what used to be the Lacquer boxing plant, I've come to observe what is happening with respect to the payments of farmers under the stimulus package by the government for farmers who may have lost a lot of produce and profits maybe as a result of drought, and also because of the COVID-19 situation. You know, Mariaquaw is the breadbasket of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Farming is our main occupation. Therefore, a number of farmers are here today to receive their payments, and I'm happy to see so many of them, and I hope things go very smoothly. Of course, there will be some hiccups with respect to ID cards, etc., but I have been told by the Ministry of Agriculture that these will be ironed out soon. So I'm very happy that so many farmers are here to collect this package, and that it will benefit them directly.
Farmers who received monetary assistance last Friday under the COVID-19 and Drought Relief Assistance Initiative thanked the Ministry of Agriculture and by extension the government for supporting them in these trying times. The farmers also noted that the $500 will help them to buy more fertilizer and equipment to further continue their businesses as self-employed persons.
My name is Eloise Bong. I feel good for this money. I'm going right now to buy wood to Sakayura and cutlass and water boots and
alright, that's the thing I want, so me go on good and me feel happy. Everything good, you know. You look at 2 months, me get to buy some manual and some input and drink the rest. I enjoy my moment at the time. Everybody big up, large out. Give me a name now. My name Flavor better than Shandy, you know what I'm saying?
And I'm very thankful for the money. I wish it was more. I will get to buy a sack of money and pay my bills. So I'm thanking them very much for it.
Thank the government of St. Vincent for this donation. We as farmers we need more donation like this year, and I'll make use of it for my farm. I'm going to buy some fertilizer with it. Thank you very much. My name is Winfield Matthias. Yeah.
But you have to really stand to get picked. Since they got the farmer's ID, I got my ID. I'm 47 years, with 5 children, and I'm a hard-working woman. CXC come out, I have 2 children past CXC. One get 6, one get 7. Thank God for the government and the government of St. Vincent. Thank you, Sabota Cedar. I'm a farmer, and I will still be a farmer. I don't like to work in nobody.
SVG joined with other nations on Sunday, September 27, 2020 to observe World Tourism Day under the theme Tourism and Rural Development. In an address to mark the occasion, Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture, Cecil Sasmaki, said as a multi-island destination with 32 islands and keys, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is endowed with many resources and heritage sites, particularly in the rural areas. He said rural developments can be attributed to collaborative tourism planning, which has helped to give SVG a competitive edge above other Caribbean destinations.
Moreover, it helps to preserve the destination's natural heritage, enables health and wellness, fosters social engagement and interaction between the private and public sector, and supports infrastructural development and improvement in our communities. Evidently, there are various tourism product offerings available that are accessible to locals and visitors in the rural communities throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines. These product offerings are not limited to the 14 tourism sites and attractions managed by the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority, which include therapeutic waterfalls, black and white sand beaches, rivers and parks.
Minister Mackey said along with the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority and the Ministry of Tourism works closely with 6 active community groups which are involved in the implementation of historic and cultural projects, cleanup activities, reforestation and product development, which add to the overall value of the destination's tourism offerings.
Tourism and rural development is encapsulated in the all-year-round electrifying festivals hosted in various communities around the island, such as the National Nine Mornings Festival, Greg's Garifuna Festival, National Heroes and Heritage Day Festival, Rose Hall Cultural Festival, and the Madumbo Festival. These festivals act as a live wire that network communities through social interaction, encourage the preservation of our national heritage and many traditional and indigenous foods. Notably, there has been several infrastructural development initiatives in the rural communities that has offered the opportunity for economic growth through the job creation and sustainable livelihood in construction, fishing and farming.
Noting that the Argyle International Airport provides the gateway for the construction of several international hotel brands in SVG, Minister Mackey said the establishment of a variety of new recreational sites have also acted as an economic driver for rural communities.
These concepts also fit nicely into a range of initiatives geared towards promoting staycations and encouraging persons to become tourists in their own country. Also, public and private sector partnerships is a main pillar that helps to shape and harness benefits to the communities. Hence, this relationship contributes to the success of tourism and rural development. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Distillers Limited is a prime example of how collaboration between the private sector and public sector can strengthen the tourism industry as they offer tour packages and support to the rural communities in different ways.